I was arrested on a cold December afternoon. The police car's siren wailed through the streets of Detroit as I was handcuffed and shoved into the back seat. My mother was crying, begging, while my father stood silent, his eyes empty. I wasn't surprised. He never cared about me. The charges? Armed robbery and aggravated assault. I swear to God, I never meant to stab that guy. I just needed the money, and the knife was only to scare him. But things went too far. One stab, blood gushing out, and my life took a turn I could never undo. The court sentenced me to 3 years at Redwood Juvenile Correctional Facility. A name that sounded like a place for troubled kids, but in reality, it was hell behind barbed wires. The prisoner transport van stopped before a massive iron gate. A burly officer yanked the door open and pulled me out. His name was Becker, and I would soon learn he was no ordinary prison guard. "Welcome to Redwood, kid. Good luck, you're gonna need it." He sneered and shoved me inside. The intake process was brutally fast. I was stripped naked, inspected inch by inch, then handed a dull orange jumpsuit. On my chest was my inmate number, 34672. Officer Becker led me down a narrow hallway, where sharp eyes watched me from behind steel bars. I felt it immediately, I was fresh meat. "You look too soft, too pale. Won't last long here." A raspy voice called out from the left cell. A bald, white-skinned man smirked, revealing yellowed teeth. A vulture tattoo wrapped around his neck, the vultures. I swallowed hard and kept walking. Becker pushed me into Block E, the intake unit for newcomers. I had my own cell, but that didn't mean a thing. Sooner or later, I'd have to face them. And it happened sooner than I thought. My first night, I was cornered in the showers. 3 guys blocked my way, all dressed in the same faded orange jumpsuit. The one in the middle was Bailey, a Vulture's member. He was a head taller than me, arms covered in dagger and skull tattoos. "Listen up, newbie," Bailey sneered. "There are rules here. If you want to survive, you gotta pay protection tax." I didn't say anything, but my blood started boiling. "I'll take 2 of your meals every day," he continued. "And your fresh kicks." I looked down. My shoes were brand new, while his were falling apart. I understood immediately, he was just looking for an excuse to rob me. I clenched my fists. Ignore or fight back. Bailey saw the hesitation in my eyes. He threw the first punch, a right hook straight to my gut. I doubled over, pain exploding in my stomach. "Get up, kid. There's no place for weaklings here." I staggered, but I refused to back down. As he lunged again, I sidestepped and punched him straight in the throat. Bailey choked, stumbling backward. His 2 goons rushed in. I wasn't a skilled fighter, but I had brawled on the streets. I knew if I went down, they wouldn't stop. The guy on the left swung, I ducked and drove my elbow into his ribs. He groaned, but the other one grabbed me from behind. I struggled, but it felt like being strangled by a python. Bailey had regained his breath. He smirked at me. "Big mistake, kid. I'm gonna teach you a lesson you won't forget." He raised his fist, but before he could swing, a deep, cold voice cut through the room. "Let him go." Everyone froze. A man stood at the shower entrance, his gaze sharp as a blade. He was built like a tank, dark-skinned, buzz-cut hair. I recognized him instantly, Big T, leader of the Bloodhounds. The sun hung high, scorching the prison yard. 2 gangs stood apart, just waiting for an excuse to erupt into violence. Big T stood next to me, eyes locked on Bailey and the vultures. He spoke in a low voice. "When the alarm sounds, hit them first." The siren blared. The yard turned into a battlefield. I charged a vulture, landing a punch on his jaw. He staggered, but another one hit me square in the back. I stumbled, dodged the next kick, and rammed my head into his chest. Screams filled the air. Batons slammed against concrete, but no one interfered. The guards stood watching, like it was a game. Big T tackled Bailey to the ground, pounding his face. But Bailey wasn't done. He pulled a razor blade hidden in his sleeve. "Die, you bastard!" Bailey roared, stabbing at Big T. I lunged, grabbing his wrist and twisting hard. The blade clattered to the ground. I slammed a final punch into his face. Bailey collapsed. Blood stained the prison yard. Big T nodded at me, then turned to the guards. They stood, arms crossed, saying nothing. They didn't care who won, as long as the show continued. The fight was over. But I knew, the nightmare was far from ending. When the second alarm blared, the Redwood officers finally stepped in. The south gate burst open, and a riot squad stormed in like a black wave. Helmets, batons, riot shields, they banged their batons against the concrete, making a bone-chilling sound. "Everyone down. Hands behind your heads." A deep, authoritative voice boomed through the speakers. But nobody obeyed immediately. A few prisoners, still blinded by rage, lunged at the officers like rabid animals. The result? Bang! A rubber bullet slammed into a thug's chest, knocking him flat. Other guards unleashed tear gas, spraying anyone who resisted. I was yanked to the ground, my face pressing against the rough concrete. A knee dug into my back, my wrists bound tight. Around me, I heard batons striking flesh, screams of pain, and desperate gasps. The purge had begun. Big T was pinned by 4 officers, his face bloodied. He chuckled and spat a wad of blood onto the ground. Bailey curled up in a corner, bruised and barely breathing. A guard leaned down, whispering something in his ear. Bailey gave a weak nod before being dragged away. I didn't like this. Groups of prisoners were hauled out of the yard, some limping, others dragged like sacks of meat. Every ringleader, including me, was thrown into solitary confinement. The iron door slammed shut. Darkness swallowed me. The battle was over, but this was just the beginning. In Redwood, bloodshed never ended. And I knew, this nightmare had only just begun.